So game number 4 between Joe and Shelty. We're gonna be coming back to home map of Shelty, and it's apparently gonna be on Tundra. It definitely makes sense if he's gonna be picking Loki here. That's his strong god. So apparently it's time to be bringing up the big guns. Same for Joe, who's gonna be playing Zeus. So that's an interesting choice all around. I mean, like, I would be probably trying to keep Zeus for something different than Loki. I mean, like, Zeus versus Loki is like the most difficult matchup for Zeus if he wants to be aggressive. If he doesn't want to be doing something else. Even like, if he goes Hermes and he cannot go, for example, raiding with centaurs too much. Against a Hersier raider, like what you would be actually doing with all of those heroes in there. So I think I would be keeping it for against like Thor or Odin to be maybe slightly better. But nonetheless, Joe decided to be going with this, as he's maybe kind of feeling that Shelty could be slightly shaken by the last game, and maybe it's gonna be time for Joe to be also pouncing. But who knows, we're gonna be having to see what kind of strategy he chooses to go for, and how it's gonna be working for him, as he's so far scouting by the goatees, giving him some information on the elks right nearby, and also in the middle, combination of gold and a relic. For Toxotes, Chariot, Archer, Throwing Axeman, and Archive hit points, so just basic archers. The second relic is already discovered as well, also for archers, interestingly enough, for piece damage this time around. That's a bit different, but still the same unit, and I'm kind of liking this for Shelty quite a bit. You can see the combination of the gold and the TC, even though the gold is front, is still quite close by, and therefore should be fairly simple for him to control. All around, as well in the middle, the gold is a whole lot better than what you could be otherwise hoping for. Sometimes the gold can be close to the tower, further away, even between towers, but this one is really excellent, because part of Athena Rush, if Joe is gonna be coming for something like that, is trying to get on the gold and kind of block it. And if you're gonna be having easier map for that, then you're having better chances of succeeding. This one is really good. Shouldn't be too hard to protect properly, and also it's easy to escape into the TC and not lose villages basically at all. Extra hand to the top, which so far I don't think that Shelty actually sees. He's gonna be just finding it now. Not pause, but switching build order or the point of view into him, as he wants to be getting over the dwarfy apparently, quite desperately in there into the build order. But he has already discovered the Aurochs, and yeah, he's heading exactly for the elks on the left. Yeah, there they are. Okay, so he sees that. Let's switch into a holistic point of view again, as the back TC right now for Joe seems to be so far alright, but you don't see where the gold is. You're gonna have to wait for him to scout it properly, because that's kind of what determines how good the TC is, because it's always gonna be safe, but if it doesn't give him any kind of tactical advantage, then it's just not as powerful as it could be. And there's the gold, so fairly similar to what Shelty is having. So therefore both are gonna be having a fairly similar situation, as otherwise the base for Joe is kind of like safe. Because if he decides to go for aggressive play, then obviously one of the counterplays for the North is trying to outrade him and force him into defensive positions. So it seems to me though that Joe shouldn't be having all that much of a problem with staying in base. He's having so far plenty of gold, which is something that you expect from a Greek player as well. The gold is slightly tricky, has to be said. It's a bit forwardish. You can see a bit further away from the TC than Shelty, as Shelty is already preparing a few buildings around it for obvious reasons. And I'm thinking that Joe will have to be doing something similar, or at least a bit of wall in there and there. Oh, it's gonna be always kind of tricky. Definitely needs to be doing a whole lot about protecting this sentry tower in the front. That one might be kind of bad if it fell way too quickly. So far we don't see... that's gonna be the 4-city for Shelty. I'm just kinda curious if he's gonna be coming for even Throwing Axeman and Longhouse. He should be. Because if he so far doesn't know if his opponent is gonna be coming for the Hoplites, then it's a good idea to be having at least some Throwing Axemen. I mean, like, you can try and go hardcore with only Hersiers and hope that your mythical units are gonna be covering you and carrying you, but it's kinda slightly risky, because you never know what kind of units you get. And if you do manage to get something that's not entirely all that helpful in the situation that you are in, then it doesn't have to be such a great thing. And apparently, it's gonna be hardcore gameplay by Joe. So far, what's the build order? 3 on gold. He's having so far 6 on wood, with the house being built right nearby. And he's having 9 on food. So that's so far standard build order with a bit of faster advance than the standard 515. It's gonna be like 445. Yeah, 444 advance for him, as far as I can see. As for the opponent, who's gonna be advancing a bit faster than him, is obviously gonna be getting a bit of an edge. But it really depends on how Joe establishes it and how aggressive he's gonna be playing. If he's gonna be, for example, dropping the military academies about like here, and what he's gonna be doing, but what he certainly needs to be doing is producing some archer ranges, but maybe not even that, because he's right now moving with plenty villages back, and it almost felt like he could be going for the TC, but nope, that's gonna be only the hunt. And he's already choosing the safer hunt here, which is obviously quite the correct choice, because he knows his opponent advanced quite a bit earlier, and therefore he can expect the Hersiers there fairly promptly. This is kind of, I was just looking at, I was going to comment on that Shelty could be getting free 2.16, 2.16 favor from that, and that's why Joe deleted that. So if you're wondering why he did that, it's to prevent Shelty from getting extra free favor, not only for the overall pool, but also for the Hersier pool. That's quite a nice little play in there. And realizing what he needs to do and what needs to happen, as this seems to me that this is gonna be good enough. Those two heroes and the Minotaur are gonna be good enough, even though we of course received a bit of damage in there. That's not that much of a problem. Not that much of a problem. So far it's gonna be 1-1 military academy and archer range, still right now keeping 7 on wood. It's kind of like a lot at this stage still, but well, let's see how he continues going forward with this build order. As of course the longhouse is already finished. Kataskobos from Joe is gonna be scouting there as well, even though this is completely blocked. And I'm thinking he should be slightly careful about this position, not to cut too deeply, because that could be then inadvertently opening opportunity how to maybe even attack this tower from the back. So that's something you want to prevent if you can. But hopefully he's gonna be paying attention, as in the meantime Shelty was getting all the favor, 0.48 favor from the poor caribous here, slaughtered 4 of them. So he's doing it also for favor, and I don't think he's doing it like to destroy the hunt for the opponent, but rather the favor, so that he's gonna be having better chance of dropping a mythical unit as soon as possible. In the first engagement that's gonna happen for him and between them. As well, apparently, so far having 8 on gold. Now that build order is all kinds of weird right now from Joe. I guess basically what you need when you are Athena rushing is food at all costs in quite high quantities. You really don't need that much gold, but he's probably gonna be without any kind of upside. Yes, exactly. So he needs a bit more than if you're advancing with hand axe and pickaxe, being research in between. So he advanced a bit earlier, so therefore he's playing a bit more bare bone build order, let's say. He's right now gonna be still having auto queue there and there, but yeah, well, he's gonna be struggling. He just needs to be keeping his heroes alive. That's kind of like most crucial part of it all. If he can be keeping Odysseus alive, it's kind of risky actually trying to play it this way, because Jason is not really all that long living, especially if maybe towers are gonna be coming somewhere soon. So far it's gonna be only husbandry, so not that. As Bolt is coming, that's gonna be right now all the way to the bottom against the Aenear. And the Hersies of course coming back, and it seems like there's all the way through. Oh yeah, there is. There seems to be a way through here somewhere. Is there? It's kind of weird slightly. Let's pause this, because that's having me curious. Not Shelty, Joe. For some reason they're not showing actually that they're being selected, but no, this should be still blocked, I assume. But well, nonetheless, let's switch into the point of view of both of them, and there we go. The attack is gonna be right now repelled because he just didn't have enough army. He didn't have everything together, and the combination of the horses and the Hersiers is actually fairly interesting. As you could be thinking, as I was saying a bit earlier, that combination of Hersiers with throwing axemen might be a bit more natural, and of course very nice path blocking right now by Shelty. That's gonna be a huge problem for Joe. While he realized that he just needs to be getting a few hits into it to pass, it's still gonna be resulting in a few whacks by the hammers into the backs there, and yet again, that's so excellently played, and of course putting Joe into a deeper and deeper hole all the time, and oh well, wasn't able to actually do it quickly enough, but still, that was so far excellent blocking by Shelty. Nicely executed. Nicely executed indeed. And if you do have the micro capability for that, that can be giving you solid advantages here and there. So far though, we haven't seen all that many mythical spawns. You can see he's still having only the troll from the very beginning, and we have seen the bolted Aenear that he got a bit at the bottom, a bit earlier. Now the hunt is also gonna be running out for Shelty. Healing Spring cast somewhere next to the base, and it seems to me that, oh yeah, definitely house is missing in there. But it could be kind of the same for even Joe. Almost. Gonna be having to spend resources in there. But right now we can see how many resources he's stockpiling. I mean, like, that just unnecessarily too much. At this point, he very easily has for even double military academy and double archery range and spamming from all of them. And if he did, and that's kind of like the point that you want to get to. And if you do, then you're gonna be able to outspam your opponent, because basically just, you got that. Shelty is having only 2 military buildings as well. And Hercers are taking insane 23 seconds to make. Horses are also taking quite long, 18 seconds. Whereas Toxotes are taking 15 and Hoplites 14 seconds. So basically if you're gonna be having more military buildings than your opponent and even making them faster, then you're just basically on the way to outspam him really quickly. And that's kind of what you should be trying to do, especially if you are stockpiling resources like that. I'm thinking that Joe is gonna be at least investing into upgrades. You have seen the medium infantry. And it's kind of like another part. If you are having 2 military buildings, then you can use one for the upgrade and the other is going to be still producing units in the meantime. So you kind of like don't lose completely on moving up in the numbers in there with the army. But nonetheless, can see it's going to be right now at least Joe able to catch his opponent slightly off guard. But unfortunately, the troll is going to be putting quite a solid stop to that, as there's going to be exactly the counter-raiding, and Willy fighting is a very good idea, because he does have the archers in here, and he's just not escaping anywhere with the villages too much. But, oh well, defensive restoration in saving the lives of the villages. Now you can kind of, oh, that is a way through actually in the end, that we were talking about a bit earlier. And that is right now, yeah, that's kind of like the saddest moment in the life of an Athena rusher. When you have to be using restoration to actually save yourself from getting rushed and raided. But yeah, well, played very well by Shelty. Very well by Shelty, and he kind of did exactly what he needed in this matchup. So he of course has plenty experience with how to play it and how to defend against different variants of it. He though lost the relic here. So he basically gave Girdle of Hippolyta to his opponent, which is something that he could be definitely picking up. And he's gonna be right now running away, and unfortunately with not all that many losses. And it seems to me that Joe is not having that high, or rather that big of an army. He's actually right now having 12 hoplites, which is kind of not too bad if he could be combining it with the rest and with all the archers. Thing is, the spy is well positioned on Odysseus, because that's obviously the unit that is most likely to stay alive for a long time and be in the crucial places and moments. But of course the hoplites, as they're right now gonna be countered well. Found out by the Hercers. Yeah, he doesn't have the restoration to really do anything, like for example take down TC anymore. So you just have to be completely and utterly overpowering the opponent by sheer numbers. And that's not exactly gonna happen here at this point anymore, because Shelty already is kind of like holding the reins of the game again. And with even the throwing axeman right now entering into the mix, yeah, he just really needs to be having the army all together and in one place. Okay, I'm kind of also slightly curious if maybe Joe would be willing to switch right now into like the second TC, because maybe he could be still having resources for that. Kind of like close on the gold. He's still, he has actually built the second military academy. But you also want to be having the second archer range, because the archers are a bit more important in the real battle, especially when you are already gonna be facing the throwing axeman. And like the whole basic combination of the units, he at least does have, oh, he doesn't, he does have only medium hoplites, he doesn't have even medium toxotai. Oh well, that's an up that he definitely needs at all costs, because you can see the hoplites and archers are not all that bad, even against the horses, but against, well, upgraded horses, when you are not upgraded, then it's kind of where it's starting to struggle. But still you can see how excellently they are doing. Odysseus should be, of course, he is right now microed properly against the troll, with Jason doing the same. And the battle, even though you could be thinking that Shelty should be winning it a whole lot more convincingly, he so far isn't really that much. At least he destroyed plenty of the Hercers. 3 of them are of course coming up as well, and therefore the chance of more mythical units is not that extremely high. But nonetheless, the battle is gonna be right now a victory for Shelty. Not such a strong arm as maybe could have been at places seem, or rather seeming. But he's gonna be definitely winning. And of course, with the whole army gone for Joe, it's gonna be really right now difficult to even come back from all of this. And we said it's recorded games from the final. This was played about like a month ago. I think in about like a month ago. And the finals were played. So I'm still finishing with the coverage in here. And well, apparently there was a Joe. He was finishing with the hunt. You can see the wolf he was just starting to be gathered from. So he was able to actually escape with enough villages for the time being. But nonetheless, you can see he's still having a few more replacements in the middle. Is he having finally second archer range? Nope. Nope, he's still having only one. He's right now heavily investing into the farms. And moving into the gold all the way into the left side. But this is already gonna be water under the mill for Shelty. Ever since he won that huge battle. Because he should be right now able to out-harass his opponent. And out-micro him, pretty much. Which seems to be exactly going on. This was a really nice teleport here, using the tower. It's exactly how it should be done quickly, as he basically just jumped a few centimeters there. And basically ran away from the army so quickly. So let's gonna check what's being researched, if maybe something is going on, like for example Heroic Age. For Joe, definitely not. He's right now lacking on the gold. As for Shelty, he's having a whole lot more resources. You can see even the 105 population limit for him. For Joe, it was only 62. So right now, if he's even not getting, for example, upgrade into the towers, then he just doesn't stand much of a chance. Even a plow is being researched by Shelty. Yeah, and he's getting second TC. And I can see already all the way to the top. So he maybe is gonna be even going hardcore in the classical age to completely win this, as he's even so brazen that he's gonna be right now going for the orcs through back. And there is the second archer range finally. Was it there a bit earlier as well? I actually don't remember. But so far the auto queues are only in the base, not onto archer range at the back there. So it's kind of fun. Now you can see that basically just the numbers for Shelty are ever increasing. You can see even medium throwing axemen are up. And it almost feels to me that he's gonna be waiting for... Now, if he wasn't going for the TC, I would be thinking he's waiting for the Heroic Age to get flaming weapons and just end it. But it seems that Joe is gonna be having a similar idea. And he's right now gonna be ravaged all across the board. Because this is gonna be also resulting into the attack on the farms from the backside. And quite obviously, this is gonna be meaning total and complete destruction of the gold miners and even a few hunters, I think, that were here a bit before. So, very well played. Brave attempt by Joe, but Shelty definitely knew what he was doing in the defense, and he executed really well. It was a good Norse defense. I'm just kind of thinking at the Athena rush, even though it's really good strategy, I don't think it's played enough in the current meta in the past really a lot of years, quite frankly. Like the last player who used Athena rush really often was Temista, like several years back, even against Aegis and stuff like that. So he was like the one who was never afraid to use it, and he was good at it. But otherwise, I'm thinking that it's kind of like a difficult strategy. It's all in. It's really all in it. And at that point, if you're playing something all in, you need to be really executing it properly and not making any mistake whatsoever. You just cannot afford them. So you just need to be, every minutiae needs to be scouted and properly explored, and you need to be kind of like familiar with the strategy as well, with how it flows. And I'm thinking that's slightly missing. Like players know how to have a build order, how to play it, and what's the goal, but I don't think they have enough experience, some of them, to execute it to like the highest efficiency. Because we have, for example, seen here that he was stockpiling resources and still not even building like the second military academy and second archer range. So yeah, or maybe it's just because Joe hasn't met it too often. Because I mean, like he is actually a main of Ege in tournaments, obviously. And otherwise, while he plays random god and everything, all kinds of gods in community games, still, you don't meet Athena Rush that often in a serious environment for the players to gain some kind of like valid experience for it, or something along those lines. Oh well, interesting brave attempt for Joe. Definitely nice to be seen that he wasn't afraid of it. He'll try it out, but it also means that right now Shelty, with proper execution of the defense and counter-attack, is gonna be only one game away for claiming the victory in the tournament and leading 3-1. So let's check into the post-game. It's gonna be Shelty. It's right now 2047 on the score. Not that much of a difference in there. In the economy, it's gonna be 2,500 difference there. It's pretty much like the same echo between the players. It's fairly curious. Let's check the economical upgrades. Handax, pickaxe, and plow. That was coming later though. Handax, pickaxe. They can probably advance or rather upgrade it at similar timings. I mean, like Shelty was also advancing quickly, so he definitely didn't have the ups too soon. You can see even Joe was having more civilian units in the end. But he just couldn't keep the army alive. And that big battle, where he invested and was hoping to turn it into a victory, that didn't exactly work out because Shelty was having way too many units at that point. Even though it cost him quite dearly, he just scraped a victory out of it, and it led into complete victory. You can see Shelty having more upgrades there, because he also upgraded more into, slightly more into the military. Joe probably wasn't having up until the end. He's having the medium hoplites, but I don't see the archers. If he was having actually medium archers somewhere. We haven't seen that, so I'm gonna be assuming that probably not. Or can we see it if we click, for example, here? No, I don't think so. Well, okay, doesn't really matter too much. Another idea, if maybe through the post game, or rather through the post game, through here. No, this is just a general one. This is not showing you what you have right now upgraded. Okay. So no information like that is going to be available for us. And of course the mythical units are going to be always queuing you. That's why what I said at the very beginning, that Athena Rush is like the hardest against Loki. Because just the mythical units are such a problem for a Zeus in the classic Age. Because all they need to do is focus your Jason, which is really easy, and try to somehow oust the Odysseus. And Odysseus is really damn expensive. 200 wood is a lot when we are trying to go such an all-in strategy. And then the mythical units are really hard to deal with normal units that you have. Like the hoplites and Toxotai. So you can see better economy like the whole time. Though not exactly gathering that much more. Otherwise, military units, absolutely the same number. It's fairly interesting to see. But we mustn't forget that there are gonna be a few myth units in there for Shelty. And therefore it's not exactly like pop limit. And therefore, on pop limit, Shelty would be slightly higher. And getting the edge in there. Also in the ups, being slightly faster. You can see the difference here. Civilian units, Joe is having so much higher. Not so much, about like, I don't know, 5, 6. So from like 3 to 6 more. But in all resources total, they are pretty much the same. Like through the whole game. Not that much of a difference, so just different upgrades. And what kind of difference they make. GG.